speaker is Zion Khalifa. He is a congressional candidate for SEO2. Is he online? He did say that he got the Zoom link. So
if you got the Zoom link, I don't know yet.
Okay.
Ours.
He.
No.
What's his name again?
His name is Zion Khalifa.
So Zion is admitted.
Okay.
I don't know. All right, that must sound like a boomer. I don't know if you can zoom that much. There it is.
Hey.
All
so
right.
he can't hear us, but now he can.
Okay. Hi, Zion. Maybe.
Is the microphone up?
Yay.
Oh, we're not hearing him.
Can't hear you. Pause.
Is it the TV?
Oh,
sorry.
Don't know.
Figuring it out.
Zion, is your mic on?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Check your audio.
Yep.
If it's on the mic, it'll tell you.
All right. How about
Who's on YouTube?
how about that?
Oh.
Say hello, Zion.
Can you hear us?
Hello.
He said something.
Wait, no.
He can hear
he
us.
has to say something.
He can hear us, but we cannot hear him. That's what we're trying to figure out right now.
All right. Try now. Zoom up.
Hey!
Oh, we hear you now.
Thank you for your patience.
Not ideal, but we can make it work. Okay, cool. That's fine.
All right. So we're gonna give Zion a couple minutes to chat with us. You guys are welcome to ask him a couple questions. I'm gonna cut us off at 7 o'clock so we can move on to other business. I don't think that we will be in discussion that long. I'm just putting it out there that questions and conversation all told, that will be our cutoff. I'm gonna go sit down and give it over to Zion.
Be in attendance. My name is Zion Khalifa. I'm running for the 2nd congressional seat. I am from Aiken, South Carolina, so I do understand a lot of the different problems that face the district, and I understand a lot of the different problems that face South Carolina as a whole. I wish I could have been there physically. I am currently in Louisiana. I fly back tomorrow, so. But my campaign, I am running a campaign that's is really trying to appeal in a way to the Republicans where I'm a common sense candidate, so we can get into office and still get the things done that we are seeking to get done. Definitely running in a red state. I'm sure most of you know that we can't say everything that we want, we can't put everything out there that we want. But the biggest thing in the times that we're in is to win first, but I would love to, well, at least start it off by seeing if there's any questions about my platform or about my campaign before I just dive straight into it, since we are on a little time crunch. If there were any questions.
Tell us why you're running.
I couldn't hear it.
Oh.
Do I have to go? Yep. Sorry, we have a.
All good.
1 second.
Hey, sorry, Zion. There's like a distance between the microphone and where everybody else is sitting. Tell us why you're running. What are things that you want to accomplish in Congress?
So why I'm running is because, like I said, I've been in South Carolina for a very long time, and I see that right now in the current times, we need some youth in office for sure. I'm sure you know the incumbent is Joe Wilson, who has been in office for he's going on 24, 25 years now. He's a 78-year-old man, and I think, well, in my personal opinion, he does not represent what South Carolina is today. He does not represent what really the United States as a whole is today. I am a firm believer that over time, society changes, people change, generations change, and I believe leadership should change with it, because the country is not in the same place it was 2 decades ago. And so the people who should be making decisions should be those who are most likely to be living in the future in which they're building. And that's to me that's so crucial because we have somebody who has been affecting decisions for 20 years, and the decisions that they're making now may be also affecting us for another 20, 30 years. And just statistically, he's not going to be living in the future that he's building, that we're going to be living in. So I personally feel like somebody who's going to be living in that future should have a say so on a lot of those decisions. And yeah.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, you got it.
So this is more of just a general question. Earth Day is right around the corner, so I kind of wanted to ask about your environmental policies and what you're thinking on that kind of thing.
So I'm running a Seeking of Clean Energy campaign. Now, we all know the big thing right now is the data centers. And with the data centers, my personal opinion is that they bring temporary jobs, and that's not enough for us to sacrifice all that we lose with the building of these data centers. How they sell it to the government is, hey, well, we're going to bring in all these jobs, and all these jobs that they're selling are construction jobs. And so, but then after the construction is done, there really aren't any jobs to be had at the data centers besides routine maintenance and security. And so at that point, we have now polluted our environment. We've used up resources. We've taken all this land for a company to place a data center in South Carolina, and is not doing anything for the people. So that's just my thoughts about data centers in South Carolina, environmentally related. But as a whole, I think right now the current administration they don't care about the environment at all. I'm seeing a lot of protected lands being unprotected. I'm sure you've seen in Alaska where we had some protection there, but now that's no longer present. And it's like, it feels like nobody cares anymore. And the big thing about the environment is the environment. A lot of times when the environment isn't taken care of, it's reflected back on the people. So a little bit of background. I worked at a law firm here in Louisiana, and during that time, we did a case over in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And in that case, the Virgin Islands they're not as developed as the mainland, obviously. And so they use a water system of like catching water from the rain a lot of times, and it stores in their home. So a crude oil plant or rig was shut down. Trump went over their head and reopened and sold it to a friend. And they started it back up, and within a year, they had an explosion, and crude oil flew over the roofs of the entire community. And now, nobody in the community has water. They don't have a water supply because that's how it negatively affected all of their water supply. Because, like I said, how they collected water was from the roofs. And so when that happened, it really opened my eyes. That's one thing that opened my eyes. But it opened my eyes to how government policy and government oversight in these type of things and these type of areas, as far as environmental, is so important because, like I said, it still affects the people. And second, also something I learned out here in Louisiana, we have an area called Cancer Alley. It's where it is a cluster of neighborhoods surrounding a plant. And this plant is just pushing so much pollution into the air. The residents around it are coming up with different types of cancer, and they're their higher likelihood of coming up with these cancers. And majority of the time, that affects the impoverished communities. But the fact is, there should have been some oversight and some protections to prevent the type of pollutants that they're pushing out so close to people and in the air in general. And so that's another failure of government oversight and government policy. So I'm very adamant about the protecting the environment. Once we make it through primaries, I'm pretty hopeful to be working with the national conservation voters, and so we're getting to where we need to get to, and the environment is definitely something that's on my list to protect.
Hey Zion, quick question for you based on something you mentioned earlier. I know you said that you felt a little restrained by things you can and cannot talk about in a kind of Republican majority area. Obviously, you're in more friendly territory tonight, I think. What are some of those issues that you're seeing that you feel a little bit more like handcuffed on?
Okay. Now, it's when I say can't and can't say is I'll say it's like I cannot use certain terminology like MAGA or Trump when doing certain speeches or out and about or talking to people or my website. Like I don't like Trump. You know, if anybody was wondering, I don't, and I'm not a supporter of Trump. I'm not a supporter of what he's doing. I'm not a supporter of how he handles the country, and so. But although that is the case, if as a candidate, for us to win in Republican majority South Carolina, we can't raise their antennas too early. You know, right now they're on the fence. They're on the fence, but the Democratic brand is not favorable in a lot of their eyes, and so it's right now it's about not well for me. I feel handcuffed as far as talking about the issues directly caused by the president. You know, in a way that they can see like, hey, your party is the party that's screwing up the country, you know. But you say that, and they're like, oh no, now it's a battle between two parties, you know, and so it's a very strategic type of rhetoric I'm trying to use whenever I'm speaking to Republicans and speaking out. That's why you won't see any. If any of you heard my No King speech, you'll notice the whole time I referred to a king, but I never said the word Trump. And that is why. You know, it's not because I don't oppose the man. It's because we gotta win if we're going to oppose the man in a way that we can actually affect change.
Mr. Zion, thank you for that answer, sir. My name is Timothy Brown. I'm the treasurer of the Young Dems of Central Midlands, and my background is more along the economic side of things. So you know that part of the reason why he was returned to power mainly was in regards to the impact of affordability that has been plaguing most of the American population in the aftermath of the pandemic. But given that, particularly for South Carolina, that we are one of the poorest states in the union, my questions to you is that should you win and go to Washington, what will be your position? What will be your strategy on tackling the what will be your position on tackling affordability, especially in regards to housing and transit access, and just trying to get the pain of the wallet off of the American people?
Gotcha. So Um, I've had a lot of different conversations in this regard, and the overarching theme about it is the for an economy to work, it's kind of like a car, and so a car, many people might not understand every part of the car, you know, but they understand that you need to ensure that these different parts of the car is taken care of, or you then or the car will not run, and the economy is the same way. So I've in my eyes, if we handle things like healthcare, we handle because you need healthy workers in businesses. If you handle things like infrastructure, because people have to get to and from work without destroying their car. If you handle things like, just normal day to day necessities, because the more we handle, and education is also on the list, and the more that we ensure the citizens are taken care of, the better they can contribute to the economy. The better they can contribute to the economy, the better the livelihood, living, the cost of living, standard of living, all these things improve with the economy and with the taking care of the citizens. And so, obviously, definitely healthcare is something that, is definitely one of my priorities. Because you shouldn't have to choose between filling, your refrigerator and filling a prescription. It's a we live in a world where people are struggling to the point. I'll tell you this. I I went to Walgreens. It was about 2 weeks ago, and a woman was outside. She had her insulin in her hand, and she told me, she was like, "Look, honestly, I need to eat something right now." I'm not joking. I'm not playing. I'm not trying to scam you. She's like, I used all what I had left on paying for this insulin, and I've taken my shot. And now, if
As far as audio, yes. My question is, what type of vision do you have when it comes to foreign policy? Also, Zane Rosser, third vice chair of Lexington County.
or like how we're
The Middle
stationed
East,
everywhere, or just in general.
mostly in the Middle East.
Okay, so we could talk about this war. I mean, it's like I feel like we have been spending so much money on things that we didn't have to be spending money on. And now people are suffering even more than they were suffering before. So imagine you spent these billions of dollars that could have been spent at home in the United States, but you spent it fighting a war that's going to last maybe 2 decades. And now the people at home who are already suffering are suffering even more. So my whole thing about foreign policy in the Middle East, and I'm speaking from a service member standpoint. I'm served in the Air Force for 6 years in 315th Airlift Wing out in Charleston. So I've had friends deployed. I've been deployed. So it's like I understand the aspect of war is not just it's not fun and games. I understand the aspect that the United States, as far as the different places in which we're placed, we are occupying, well, we're using the most resources in all these different places. So to kind of give it an aspect, it's like if there are 100 soldiers at this base, at this foreign base, the United States probably has 70 out of the 100. And so, and France might have five, and it's so it's I feel like we're using so much money in foreign affairs that could be used to support the Americans and support the people who need it. And I just don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. And I think we're at this is 2026. Um, I definitely feel like wars are being fought differently now than they've been fought in the past. Well, should be fought differently now than they've been fought in the past, where lives aren't lost, where money isn't just thrown away, where people aren't just thrown away, and so our policies and how we deal with people and how we deal with foreign countries should also reflect that. I see I'm running out of time, so I'm taking the next question. I have like 3 minutes.
Do we have any other questions?
You said that's all questions.
I'll let Michael answer or ask one more question and then.
Hey Zion, if you win in November, would you vote to impeach Donald Trump or no?
Yes.
And why?
Because I mean he's a war criminal for one. He's a war criminal. He in the United States there's a checks and balances system. And now, from my aspect, I feel that if a president just goes and complete disregard of the system put in place to protect the citizens and the interests of the citizens, they should no longer be the president. If there's a system put in place where, okay, if you want to go to war, you have to go through this, and you just say, I don't care, then why are they still in the position where they can make decisions that affect the entire whole when they don't even follow the procedure to make those decisions? And so it's like, that's why I feel he should be impeached. He should be impeached because he has broken the rules time and time again. And it's always the citizens who are having to deal with the consequences of him breaking the rules.
I appreciate that answer. Well, is there anything else you would like to add, Zion? Do you want to plug your website, socials, all that good stuff?
Yeah, I could do that. So I'll say June 9th is a primary election. And when we vote in primary elections, the biggest thing we should think about is strategically who has the best chance of winning. That's one thing we should think about. The next, we also should think about who has our interests at heart. Who do I connect with? Who do I feel will actually fight for me when the time comes? And I will not tell you how you should feel. I'll just obviously y'all will do your own research and you will understand the different candidates and the candidate that is for you. But I'll definitely suggest looking at my website, khalifaforcongress.com, where you can see my full platform that I'm running on, and take into consideration. Hey, well, out of the candidates, who do I feel can get the people who are not? That's the thing. The biggest thing here is we must get the people who are not already voting for us to vote for us. And you have to decide what candidate will accomplish that. What candidate will be able to get the people who are not already voting Democrat to vote Democrat? Who can convince Republicans to vote Democrat? Who can convince the younger generation to actually register and vote Democrat? These things are what affects if we're going to win or lose. So khalifaforcongress.com, Khalifa for Congress on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We're everywhere. So I'll definitely say come to the website, come check us out. We definitely have some events coming up in Columbia, May 9th. I'll definitely share the details as they come. But yeah, stay connected, and I'm always open to ask a question. If you send me a DM, I will respond. I mean, that's the type of person I am. I will respond. I'm open to have a conversation. I'll give you my number. You can call me and have a conversation. I don't shy away from conversation. I don't shy away from confrontation. So reach out as you wish.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, Ion. Hope you have a good night. Thank you so much for getting on with us.
Same for y'all. All right. Enjoy coming.
All right. Cool. Well, hello, new people. Thank you for coming. This is being live streamed on YouTube, so if you would like to go back and listen to, that was a congressional candidate. His name is Zion Khalifa. If you'd like to listen to anything he said, there were a lot of good questions. That'll be on YouTube. We're going to go ahead. There are agendas in the middle of the table if you guys would like to look at those to kind of see what we're up to this meeting. We're going to go ahead and jump into, that's old, so don't look at that one. Yeah, I know. We're going to go ahead and just review generally what we've been up to because we have been busy. Over the past month, we have done county conventions, the YDofC convention, a No Kings protest, and obviously, literally historic candidate filing has occurred. So there is a lot of stuff going on right now. I am going to kind of go through that list a little bit. County conventions. YDCM was present at Richland and Lexington. We had a table at both. It was great. Got a couple of new people to sign up and obviously participated in the county democratic process, which was great. In terms of our YDSC convention, again, that is just the Young Democrats of South Carolina. That is their version of a statewide convention. We did have it virtually, but we had a watch party here on Saturday. It was great. A couple of our members did receive awards, so I'm gonna throw that in there real quick. Christine Snuffer, who is not in the room, but she's here. I don't know where she went. Yay, Christine! She won the Ophelia Doe Award, which is excellent. We also had a Dee Dee Bustles, who is also not present tonight, but she won Advocate of the Year, which is fantastic. We're clapping for Christine again because she got an award. Yay, Christine! Actually, I think Caleb won Democrat of the Year, Young Democrat of the Year.
But it's okay.
Caleb, who is also in the room with us from Spartanburg, also won an award. So yay, Caleb! A lot of good awards. I think it was a good convention. We got a lot of stuff done. Talked about a lot of important things. And
Us. We were chapter of the year.
oh yes, and YDCM won chapter of the year. See, I forget that is pretty. It's pretty big, which is great.
We are doing a virtual training back there, so trying to keep this door closed.
Gotcha. Door is gonna remain closed for people who are in the room with us. We were at the No Kings protest a couple Saturdays ago at this point, which was great. We got about $50 in donations thanks to Christine and Josie and everybody else that worked on some buttons and bracelets and stuff for us. Unexpected, but quality moneymaker. So we're going to keep doing that. And then, obviously, historic candidate filing. I can't speak about this enough because the people in this building who are working here outside of this room and also people within this room did a lot of work to do some really important things. There are 124 SE State House seats, and every single one of them is filled with a Democrat this year. So that is, I think, literally unprecedented. I could be wrong about this, but that is, when I say historic in South Carolina, I mean 1990 wasn't even this big. So
This is the first time in state history.
first time in state history. I did not confirm that, except I just did now. That's excellent. 7 out of 7 federal offices are filled with Democratic candidates. And there is a full statewide ticket for Democratic candidates, all the way from governor down to commissioner of agriculture. So literal historic moves in South Carolina. We're doing a lot of really important things. I'm not sure if the graph is up there, but there are a number of young candidates that also ran, and are running, excuse me, yes. Again, a couple of them are in the room with us, and we just heard from one not too long ago. So literally historic stuff. Sometimes the world feels a little insane with our current president, but it's important that we recognize like how how much is actually happening even when we're not necessarily paying attention. So that's crazy and incredibly amazing stuff. And I think that's kind of all I have in terms of updates. The next thing that I kind of wanted to do while we've got everybody in the room together, our leadership team had kind of talked about doing a strategy session tonight. So we can figure out what the members of YDCM want to focus on going forward this year. The beginning in January, we kind of did a prep for the first 3 months of YDCM for 2026. That got a little insane because shit hit the fan for real. But we've been busy. Yes, Zane?
If you're wanting to brainstorm ideas, one thing I've been trying to do, but I've been busy with other stuff. Before June 9th, I want to get a phone bank, and as Wes is going to say, we can't endorse a candidate, but we want people to know that there's a primary in June. Please go out and vote, because we get them in the primary, they're more likely to come back for November.
Absolutely. So Zane just suggested phone banking prior to the primaries on June 9th, West. Yeah, absolutely. Come on up.
So this has been something that I've been focused on for the better part of a year. I know we had that crash session for the last leadership team that I was trying to go through my idea. But broad strokes, my concept is that we spend the next probably 3 to 4 weeks community farming, so getting as many people here as we possibly can. One thing I really want us to focus on that we're really underutilizing is social media. If a meeting is not broadcast on 3 social platforms, it did not happen. We currently have 1 built in, but that means we still have our Instagram, we still have our TikTok, we still have our Facebook that no one is seeing. This is a historic year in South Carolina, one, because of the amount of civic engagement we're having from people running, but also civic engagement from people that we have I call them lay people because I'm used to a church, but like the population at large, the citizenry. I want to capitalize on that, and I want to run campaigns and help people learn that we're not afraid and begrudgingly Democrats. We are unabashedly Democrats as we support our values. So kind of my focus there is, one, my recommendation, obviously people can disagree, is that we spend the next little bit trying to get as many people here as possible. After that, I want to get into a rapid training phase where for new people and also everybody here, we get used to the wonders of going door to door, putting feet on streets, and getting ready to door knock for candidates that we are able to endorse. And then finally, making calls as well. Those are 2 huge ways. Obviously, number 1 way of advertising, if anyone's in business, is word of mouth. Putting your face in front of someone else and them seeing you and hearing you makes them infinitely more likely. I think that it's 10 times more likely to buy your product, or in this case, vote for your candidate. Phone calls are second. Hearing a human voice is one of the best ways to market if you can't be face-to-face. Third, obviously, we'll try and do like social media blasts. I want to focus on, with some of the funds we have, doing some like targeted social media ad campaigns for either our organization or our candidates or things like that. I think there's a really good net positive there. One last thing I wanted to say, this is only tangentially related to everything I just said, but Josie actually put me on this guy, Robert Putnam, who found out or did years and years of research and has been widely known for this, but he has noticed that there is a stark declination in the social groups that people have and the social organizations that people have. It started with him looking into American bowling. And one thing that he was able to document, as I listened to his lecture today, and Josie's given me both a documentary to watch and a book to read, is that there is an adverse effect on people's civic engagement as well as their overall physical health when they are less involved in social groups. So in countries where there is still a higher rate of social groups that people partake in on a regular basis, people there are not only more engaged in the political process, they're more optimistic about the political process, and they're also living healthier lives. In countries like ours, where social engagement is becoming lessened and lessened, we're seeing an adverse effect on people's civic engagement, on people's civic optimism, and on people's health. Not being in an active social organization has the same health effect as daily smoking, which is not something I realized, and I'm learning more, so you'll probably hear me blab about it later. But all that is to say, my goal really is to start having this organization focus on becoming not just a political tool to help get people elected, such as Jeremy, who is running, but also to help give people that missing social area so that they feel more inclined to do things like go door knocking, like make calls, like come to stuffy meetings at the SCDP and listen to me drone. That's my spiel.
Would you like to go?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna grab my pencil here first. You go right ahead.
How are y'all doing today? I just wanted to drop, a little financial status of where we are at right now. As you know, I'm going to be going over. Oh, for all the, if y'all don't know, I'm Timothy Brown. I am the treasurer of the Young Nim Central Midlands and the finance committee chair. Huzzah! I count money. So, right now, the status of the money, because we did take some out for the pizzas for the watch party. Sorry if I'm out of breath. I've just been all over the place this week. We're about $1,109.81 on small little bit, but nothing to worry about. We're gonna try and keep that up because I have gotten faith in the fact that Sophia was able to sell those buttons and whatnot and all that stuff. So definitely part of that strategy for myself as finance chairs to keep bringing ideas to bring money in to keep this movement flowing financially sound. As far as my responsibilities on that is that we will definitely collaborate more on getting more merch up. I want more merch up, ready to go for the spring and the summer, particularly because I do have my own recommendations regarding where we should be going and being out there with boots on the ground to lean on what Wes was saying. Because outside of the political events, there are major social events that the state also funds. So when I touch base with Christine about the Peach Festival, we'll do that. When Austin returns, I will discuss with him about the state fair because that is my baby, that is my project, and I feel like it is time for the Democratic Party to be boots on the ground at the biggest event in the state, which is the state fair. So we will be definitely trying to iron those details out as we go along. Aside from that, just to lean on what Wes was talking about, just being more involved with the party. I am also doing a personal project regarding more of a package of initiatives of different bills that have been either passed or are pending regarding urban policies, regarding affordable housing, transit-oriented development, more multimodal housing, transit funding, etc. So I will present a new project that will be attached to that to the leadership regarding maybe putting a set of initiatives per committee of different bills across the country to each chair's preferences to present to the legislator of their choice. So when they go and become elected, they have some footprint to go on to fight for in South Carolina. So I will be bringing my personal example up once I get done with it, God willing, at the end of the month. But until then, we will focus on getting merch up and being a presence at social and political events, particularly the Peach Festival, Latin Festival, Soda City Comic Con, Orchestra, the Greek Festival, the Jubilee Festival, and the Palmetto Peanut Boil, as well as the State Fair. I will discuss these in detail with the leadership later on, but that is my report for the Finance Committee.
So,
Okay.
circling to brainstorming, one thing I'm interested to hear people's opinions on, how, obviously right now we meet officially twice a month. How often do we think we should have supplementary activities? So I know a big one was drag show at the Hoot. That was huge. Michael hosting the Super Bowl party, I think, was like rockin' awesome. I know we're looking at potentially doing some new stuff. So what does, like, how often do we think we want to meet?
I see two hands here.
So Christine and our plot is to make things more fun and engaging so people come back more. And so our current April strategy is to have a movie night. Currently the voted movie is Becoming, the Michelle Obama documentary.
do phone banking every so often, if we're asking people to do door knocking, it will be so much easier and better for everybody if we can
Do
like
something after.
yes, and like improve our teamwork through these fun things.
Yeah.
I think it can also be really important that we like over promote the fun things so that new people show up to the fun things and not boring business meetings.
Yeah.
I think that can absolutely be an important part of like, oh my gosh, well, like, what are the young Democrats doing? Oh, well, you know, it's a little bit more approachable for me to just sit and, you know, do here, you know. And then my third thing is, I think we could do more like leadership building or like skills building. We and definitely like SCDP got first time candidates to file who were like party members, and I think organizations like this could do more to like teach some of those skills that we would require of first time candidates, like fundraising, like door knocking, like, you know, here's how you go talk to a voter, here's whatever. That not only would help our organization accomplish our goals, but also would put people in a better mindset of like, oh, well, like if I'm in charge of volunteers now, now I know what to do because I've done these things before.
And to that point specifically, don't we have Nicole doing a training?
So we do have, not this month, but next month, Nicole with Better Ballot SC. She's also a YDCM member, but she does run Better Ballot SC. She is going to give us a lobbying class. She's given those a couple of different times. It's going to be like a quick 30 minutes on what lobbying is, how we do it, and how we as a group can accomplish that. Yes, Leanne and then Jeremy.
So I guess real quick to kind of go off of everybody's points, one of the biggest reasons I joined this group was to find friends, to be completely honest with y'all. One thing I would like to point out is that I know we do a lot of things like afterwards and as groups and everything like that. One thing I would also kind of like to stress is that there are a lot of people our age that have kids. If we could somehow make some of these events either kid friendly or something along the lines would be awesome as well. I know my daughter had a lot of fun coming and making bracelets when we did all of that prep work and stuff. So also to kind of keep something like that in mind. Real quick, I want to go off of Tim's point. I do think we need more merch, especially polos. I would love to have some sort of polo that I can wear to work. Also to go off of West's point about, I would love to have some sort of phone banking and canvassing training. Kids, I've never done that before, so some kind of training for that. Also, probably one of the things that I will put on my plate is to get the college Dems in
Yeah,
To us.
absolutely.
in YDSC and get them more active and everything like that. I know college is breaking here in another month, but to at least start the groundwork so come fall they will be ready to run. So I know that'll be
One note on that, I will say that USC College Dems is having a meet and greet with Annie Andrews. I don't necessarily, the 20th
Yes, 20th.
of this month. That will be kind of like a coffee at night kind of deal. We'll post those dates in the chat and we'll share it on social media. The note about social media, our team right now for social media is 2 people, and those 2 people are me and Christine. Those people, speaking for myself, we have had increased engagement. We're getting there, but we're working on moving past the like baseline, just keeping the social media alive, and more into the how we get social media and get engagement and all that good stuff. Our followers have increased. Our engagement has increased 35% in the past month, which is incredible. So, just saying. Yes.
2 questions.
'Kay.
One, do y'all have access to the Instagram now? I know for a while it was like locked out.
So Christine Steen and I have worked on a new thing. We're using a new platform to post on both at once. So Facebook and Instagram will be posted at the same time. That being said, Carrie is still working with us on transitioning. We're changing emails and all that good stuff. A little dramatic background info.
Okay, cool. Second thing, do we have anybody in here that is a good clipper?
What does a clipper mean?
Like editing.
Well, editing, but also just like grabbing shit from streams or things we post, clipping it down and reposting places.
Michael Ayer.
You are? Are you?
Yeah.
Michael.
He's like, hi.
You're so cute. You're so attractive, and we all love you. And you're brilliant too, and you have great hair.
I need more compliments.
Yeah, so true.
How comfortable would you be with doing some clipping of our stuff on
If you
occasion?
just tell me like specific moments and make it less like I gotta sit through this whole thing and find. If you can just tell me what to find,
Mhm.
I'll find it for you.
Great.
Yeah.
Good deal.
I did have my hand up for.
That's why I
think
wasn't
so.
like.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I wanted to
Yeah, yeah.
add to Leah, because me and Leah were talking earlier about the phone banking and canvassing trainings. I think we should do that, like, get on it. And
So
then
what I will say is anybody in this room that has experience with phone banking and canvassing, please come talk to me because to be honest with you, I've not done much of that. I will say that me and Emma got on a phone banking call for Sylvia Wright with Young Democrats of Greenville. There are only 5 people working on that, and I think we made close to 500 calls, which is insane in
Each
like 2
person?
hours. So what?
Like per person or just all together?
In total, which again, that's like 100 calls a person. We were only sitting there for about an hour. If we have a room full of people who are willing to do that, our impact is going like that. So skyrocketing.
Not to brag, but Young Dreams of the Central Midlands blew that out of the water last year.
We did.
We
The
did.
6 of us, we made over 1,500 calls, 1,800 calls.
Now that was with an auto dialer, so
That
we
requires
did
It
get.
doesn't matter.
It requires money, but oh my gosh, that's a reason to ask.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like.
Well, I want more
give-
money in
no.
to do something like that.
Well, okay, but like, if like we have a thing to go to donors with. Oh my gosh, we're doing a new initiative. We found young voters with the least engaged, demographic. We want to change that. We want to inspire these more progressive-minded people to go vote in their Democratic primaries.
Mhm.
Can you give me $500 so that we can do this?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Yes, you can. Wonderful.
And I think this would
Yeah.
also kind of leach into the fundraising type of thing. Fundraising over the past year, we have used merch as a fundraiser, which is good every once in a while to get like $100 here and there. The other thing that we did, and we will do again this year, is the chili cook-off, which we did with Richland Lexington. That was great, and that's where bulk of our monies came from.
Jumping on that.
Yes, sir.
In terms of leading with Leanne, what you just said, hi the president, what are we doing?
Pie the President is a question mark. I would love, and this is a me love thing, not Pie the President, but I would love for us to have a summer fair. We have the grounds of that parking lot right over there. SCDP has already agreed to let us use the grounds if we bring tables and tents. We talked to food trucks last year, already had conversations and guaranteed a food truck. Things just got a little crazy and we had to cancel because we had the chili cook-off coming up. So, point being, if we as a group can come up with some ideas for like some of these fun summer festivals that we might want to do, we can make it a voter registration festival
You got
and
3
have people setting up voter registration. Like there are tons of things that I feel we could do. But to be honest with you, I'm not a fundraising expert.
There
so.
are, we got 3 federal holidays coming up, Memorial Day, Juneteenth, and Independence Day. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
On top of that, we also have to keep in mind, because I know I was discussing the social and political stuff that we are part of. There are those bigger events that we do we didn't miss them. It's just for some it's out of the price range, like Biden coming to town in
Absolutely.
February, and Kamala is coming up next week.
Yeah.
That's a
So,
good question.
I would say, if you can go. Just make sure if you have a shirt, just wear that. Because when me and Austin, when we went to see Bernie last year, everybody was like in our shirts. We got a picture with Bernie in that shirt. That's PR. That's free PR right there. So
Love to see it.
definitely keep an eye out for major events outside of the norm that
ultimately the goal, I think, for communication should be like getting people comfortable enough to talk about whatever issue, including advertising events that we're doing, in a video format that would do well everywhere.
Yeah.
I think we have had people do that before, but I think a lot of folks who are currently doing work and maybe doing other stuff are kind of tapped out on how much time they can devote to this specifically. So is there an avenue that we can pull people up and to be like, oh my gosh, why don't you just tell us what to talk about? We'll have.
If we loop it in with some of the social events that we were bringing up, it's possible.
So one of the things, I'll let you talk in just 1 second. When we were at the protest, we had discussed doing like mini mic interviews and just walking around the protest and asking people a couple of questions. That's something that we have talked about in the past. Is that what you were gonna say?
It was. You stole my thunder.
I think
I had a little bit more.
it's a fun
Okay.
topic.
So one thing we are going to invest in right now, 100% of the tech that we have as an organization is just stuff I had at home. So we are looking at making I call it a tech toolbox, but it'll be stuff like USB-C lav mics so that you can record from any modern smartphone. We can do mini mic interviews, promo videos are going to be a big thing. And one thing we're going to really do is on leadership, someone will be pointed at and told before a meeting or an event hey, you need to make sure something gets filmed, whatever. And then all of the rest of the lovely people will have an opportunity to be on camera because people like y'all more than definitely me.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to.
I wanted to ask a question. Well, I came tonight because I wanted to find out how the Young Democrats stand on HIV and AIDS.
Again.
Especially the ones that's running for,
Office.
and I'm concerned about that because I am an individual that's living with an AIDS diagnosis. And with all of these budget cuts that he's, doing, I can lose my medicine, I can lose housing. It's unacceptable. So I need to know how the Young Democrats is going to move towards this because I got to feel of powerful women standing behind me that can fill in those gaps, okay? Because I'm at the State House all the time with the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, with the Positive Women Network. I'm connected with a lot of organizations. Last year, the last election, I went and got voter registration papers, try to connect with USC to get some place to do registration. Never happened. Disappointing.
Yeah.
Because even before I got connected with these organizations, my baby is 35 now. When Obama ran for president, I went and got a stack of voter registration, and I went and got him, go get all your homeboys, everybody that's 18 over, and got them to register. So any kind of way that I can help, but we need to find out. Because like I say, there's a movement out there.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I can rally some folks that can voice
Yeah.
because they're hurting behind these cuts.
Of course. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I think one great thing we have is we actually have a candidate right now that's
Yeah,
running in
that's
this
why
area.
we need to know how you
Uh,
stand, baby.
You can honestly tell him directly what his ideas are for healthcare.
Yeah.
On the same level.
Well, on the same level, yes. So I definitely understand where you're coming from as somebody who is a gay individual who understands the plight of, HIV, AIDS, that community, and someone who's, is sexually active and such. I understand that we have to deal with it head on and not beat around the bush because people do live with that, and these cuts are devastating. And we have to do a lot with our healthcare, and something like that we can't play around with. Okay, and I'm a proponent of better healthcare in the state, even in the country. I'm a big proponent of better healthcare. We need to cover everything and make sure that when we cover it, that people pay less than what they're paying now. A lot less, about $498. That's ridiculous. You know, and so we have got to stop these cuts. You know, in the country, and also we have to make sure that if they're cutting in the country, you know, if we Democrats win back Congress, they have got to reverse these cuts on on everything in our healthcare system, and that's who, like me as a candidate at the state level, I'm going to make sure I fight for someone like you to make sure that your medicine is taken care of, and that
Baby, let me blow you away. Section 8. I've been on a waiting list since 2009. Okay?
I know.
It is 2026, you know, and it is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and even with Trump trying to do away with 340B, that's not only hurting people living with HIV, that's hurting everybody with a chronic illness.
Of course, yeah.
You know, and it's ridiculous.
And the thing is that we have to make sure that we put our money, because we have the money to put behind to back up our thoughts. So if we're gonna put our money where our mouth is, we need to put our money where our mouth is. And I'm gonna make sure that, you know, when I go to the State House, I'm gonna talk about all of this play, because the thing is that, you know, I know what it I live with my mom, so I have to figure out how to, you know, branch off and get housing too one day, if you know, in the future. So I understand that it's all about how we fight for it, but Democrats have to win the election, hands down. Because the thing is that when you talk to these candidates, if they're not talking to you like I'm talking to you and saying we're gonna fight for you, then they're not. They're not.
I have been to AIDS Watch in D.C. 1 year, right?
Yes.
And the trainer said, well, there's no need to go to Lindsey Graham and the men off myself and to kick their nose in first.
Of course.
Play with this one here because you're playing with my life.
Of course.
Okay, so I just don't have time for bull.
No. And the thing about it is that we need to go to Republicans and Democrats and say, hey, we're not playing around.
If you send your information to my door, I feel like I got the right to knock on your door.
Of course.
Okay.
That's right.
A friend of mine told me, because I was going to Joe Wilson's office, she said, well, he's in my district. I said, I don't care. He sent his mail to my district.
Yeah.
So he gave me the right to knock on his door.
Of course.
And air my, you know, I don't have time, like I said.
Yeah.
When you're challenging this one, I'm coming full force.
Of course.
You know, and even if I catch the city bus, I'm out there telling these kids, y'all need to register to vote.
Of course.
You know, because this is ridiculous. Until the Democrats get out and full force and do what they need to do,
Yeah.
we gonna stay down.
Yeah.
I said, y'all looking at that little money talking about Trump. I said, please, baby, let me tell you something. My parents never was getting them checks when I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know about it then. I said, but recognize he ain't doing nothing but reverting the cycle, okay?
Of course.
Y'all, I carry on like this. Y'all don't care where I am now.
No, no, no. We love it. We love it. We love
We're
it.
happy to
It's
have
all
you here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And I think that is all the reason why every single Democratic organization, including Young Democrats, need to be really focused on things that we can accomplish and things that we want to do. Not just the Young Democrats here, but our county parties and our state parties. You know, want to stay focused and want to achieve some big goals. And I think that was part of some of the strategizing.
Absolutely. This is what we need to hear.
Yeah.
Because I think it's one thing for us to sit in a chat, if you're not in it, for the new people, we do have a signal chat. It's one thing for us to talk back and forth in the chat when things are happening on the daily, but meetings like this allow us to like really hone in on what it is that we want to focus on. To be honest with you, I am constantly overwhelmed by the news. I feel like I wake up every day and there is something new and magical to keep me down emotionally, me specifically, obviously, all of us. And it's important to hear things out loud about what it is that people want to focus on, and where we need to align ourselves.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things to do at all times. Like, I feel like constantly I feel like we're not doing enough, but the reality is that YDCM was busy the last 3 months. I don't think that we have necessarily taken a breather even, but this helps for us to reorient and focus on what it is that we want to do. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just really quickly, my name is Caleb Bickler, the chair of the Young Democrats of Spartanburg County. I'm here because work has me in Columbia a lot, so that's why I was glad to meet y'all. So I always like to just support our Young Dem chapters. Just curious, do y'all have like a committee, because we have a committee that tries to steer conversation. So for example, like what she was talking about, I would say it makes sense. I have so many resources. For example, like the AIDS Healthcare Foundation is in Eau Claire. I would say don't be afraid to hit them up and say, hey, can we maybe have one of your people to speak about healthcare access or what's happening potentially,
Yeah,
just as a way to
absolutely.
inform the community. Because we recently had one with Americans for Reproductive Freedom. Since Spartanburg does have several like private liberal arts schools, so that was pretty good that we had people who don't really come to our stuff, but it's like we're talking about reproductive care and access and how some of our legislators from our respective county delegation is trying to initiate state laws to restrict that. And it's like, wow, for people who didn't realize that. So just a way to reel folks in. It's just my like suggestion.
Yeah,
potentially.
absolutely.
So that was one thing. And also,
Yeah. Sorry.
yeah, I
I
was
was
gonna
gonna
say,
say one
if
thing.
y'all want to add for an upcoming important date, May 8th is our Spark Awards. Michael has been there. Some of y'all may have been there. It's a cool, it's a vibe. We recognize young people like 36 and under, 40 and under even. We're just doing great things in the county. It's quite, we kind of have it, because Spartanburg is kind of unique. It's very more red than here, which is very shocking. I would also say, utilize y'all like legislative Dem candidates to support y'all's fundraising efforts and all that, because the couple in Spartanburg do help us out. But with that Spark Awards, it really just furthermore helps us get people who don't really identify as Democrats, but it's like, oh, we have the same value system for the stuff I engage in my personal capacity. So that's been beneficial. A lot of our more engaged members came from nominees from the Spark Awards, and we say, hey, congrats for being nominated, or being this year's recipient. We have this event that's about healthcare, that's about, you know, the homeless demographics. Yeah, that, because Spartanburg, our one homeless housing place, the city decided to shut down, and people are like, shook, because city of Spartanburg is majority Democratic, but even those Dems decided to shut it down, so holding them accountable. So just things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I was
And
gonna
Caleb, the Spark Awards is a fundraiser.
It is. It's a
And
fundraiser.
how much money did y'all raise last year?
Last year it was over 2,500.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah.
Incredible.
So, and we just had the tickets based at like 40. And then again, some of our presenters, be it candidates, incumbents, it was like if they wanted to present, it was like, because we had the who's who there. I mean, we had I think Representative Justin Pearson. But anywho, it was like, yeah, but support us by giving us some funds to be a bronze sponsor or like different sponsorship levels and stuff.
I probably need to talk to you about
And-
fundraising.
What I was gonna say.
Oh, you got it,
Is fundraiser actually the awards I think are fantastic.
Yeah,
I think it's brilliant.
absolutely.
What I was gonna say in terms of like having people like from local advocacy groups, that is actually something we have been doing.
Yeah.
We have been trying to hold what we are temporarily calling education exchanges, which are people that are partnered with us in local different organizations coming and speaking to us, or have like subject matter understanding on a given issue. For those of you that don't know, Zane hosted either one or two last year on just one on the history of immigration in South Carolina. I know Carrie with Palmetto State Abortion Fund gave a pretty long-winded one on abortion access in South Carolina. So that's something we're trying to expand on. Obviously, Nicole with Better Ballot will be at our next general meeting to go over that. But that is, thank you, because that's a great topic because
Yeah.
you get to advertise.
For sure, and I'm also curious, like, since you all are like what Orangeburg and Fairfield, like, have y'all tried to expand and do like an attempt something there, not be so Richland, Columbia heavy, or
That is,
Have we attempted? Yes.
okay?
That's-
Have we succeeded?
it is on our list of goals for
Yeah.
2026. And what I will say is that I have been in contact with somebody from Orangeburg. Orangeburg is talking about kind of making their own little chapter. They did not charter this year, but they do have enough people to justify having a little group of their own. So part of our goal in our 2026 plan is to either help or get those counties more involved with YDCM. Lexington and Richland is already like a huge span. Like we've learned that obviously 30, 45 minutes one way back and forth is not that much, but it is when we're asking people to meet up a couple times a month. So working on Orangeburg and Fairfield, we'll get there,
Yeah.
but definitely part of the plan to expand. I joined and I think we have one person from Fairfield, and I think I've met one person from Orangeburg. So
Yeah, it's just tough because I'm just speaking personally again in Spartanburg, like with Cherokee County being Gaffney, we have folks from Limestone. Well, since they closed, they still kind of reach out to us because they reside there.
yeah,
But even some other, like even folks in Anderson, even when Brinkley Greenville was kind of upstarting. So it's just been a challenge, but I think that's why it's just important for us to just share ideas like this and
Yeah,
just what have you.
absolutely.
So that was all. I was just curious.
yeah.
Have we been writing any of these ideas down?
You got
We got ours, man, take a minute right there.
Have we been writing these ideas down?
I assume our minutes man's been writing them down, right?
Yeah, I got it written down.
Exactly.
But all right, what's the pleasure?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
More importantly, we have a stream, and the minutes man
No,
will at the
but
very least.
we've talked about some really important things.
We did.
I think
We
these are
got it written down and
accomplishable
recorded.
goals
I agree.
that I think we can, like, if we establish that, like, these are accomplishable goals, I think we can take steps on these, like, really ambitious things that we all know
What to do.
either ourselves what to do or we know somebody who knows how to do this. I think that can be an important next step
Yeah, I agree.
is solidifying these very good and accomplishable goals.
So I will say that leadership has a meeting tomorrow. So we will review the goals that were outlined tonight and then our committee heads, because we do have committees. We've kind of reformed committees a little bit. We have an action committee that basically is campaigns related and like all that good stuff. So door knocking, phone banking, talking directly with candidates, all of that would be under that umbrella. They are actively right now working on interviews for superintendent of education. So we have put out a little questionnaire, asked people to submit their questions. We're going to do interviews with both of the candidates, and then those will be posted on social media. So that's already something that's happening right now. But yes, we will review. The team will put together a list of what we think are accomplishable goals for the next couple months. The way that I suggested we do things is go 3 months. Every 3 months, we're going to do a review of what we have accomplished, what we want to accomplish, and how we're going to move forward.
Could we then maybe think about it in terms of like different election days? That like there's June 9th primary,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
things we want to do in the primary, and then November or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna let you speak, and then we have got to get moving on important dates so we can get out of here.
Are we going to expand the interview series if it pops off?
Yes, we
To
absolutely
governor,
can. Yeah.
to do governor.
As of right now, it's just superintendent of education. However, yes, we can definitely expand that. I think we got 10 questions from around the interwebs and from within our group for those people. And then we'll do those interviews, and then that stuff will be posted. So we'll go from there. Zane, I'm going to review some upcoming dates, and then I will give you a couple minutes to chat about resolution stuff. Is that okay? All right. Important dates. Obviously, Caleb just mentioned Spark Awards. That is May 8th. Spectacular. I think that we should get a group of people to plan to go. I have talked about this with leadership a little bit, but part of my goal for YDCM is to get out of our bubble. We are so concentrated in Columbia and Lexington and Richland, which is great, but we do need to get out of our bubble a little bit. We've been self-isolating in our bubble.
Road trips could be fun.
Road trips could also be fun.
I already had that
Exactly.
discussion. I had asked
Well,
Austin.
she's talking.
I will say that there was a protest tonight at the State House that was happening at the same time as our meeting, so I'm glad you guys are here. But also, that was going to be on my list list, but I have heard rumblings of a protest happening this Saturday to protest the war in Iran. That will also be at the State House. I would keep an eye on 5051 and anything related to that on Facebook. They will probably be the people talking about it. Rally for LGBTQ plus and reproductive rights is on April 14th. That will be at the State House. It is on a Tuesday, I think, so it's, not so great. But if you're able to make it and maybe take a lunch break and walk over there or something, it's happening from 8:30 until about 12:30. I won't be able to go, which sucks, but if somebody can go, that would be cool. Our second monthly meeting will be on April 22nd. We have not determined a location for that yet, but we will announce that in the chat and on social media when we get to that point. May 1st is May Day, which is a day of protest and resistance, no work, no school, no buying. We participated in a May Day festival type thing last year. Hopefully we will also participate this year, but just putting it on the radar, attempting a day of no spending, no school, no work. It's difficult because everybody's poor right now. I understand that, but
No
point
caveat.
being, no caveat.
Be poorer.
Yeah. The Clyburn Fish Fry is an annual event. It is happening on May 29th. I do know that they need volunteers. Walter Reed has posted a volunteer sign up on his Facebook. We will repost that on our Facebook and other socials. They need sign-ups by, I believe it's May 22nd. So if you're interested in working with the Clyburn people and working on the fish fry, that would be a great opportunity. And then we have the SCDP convention on May 30th, which is the day after. Thank you so much for coming. It's very nice to talk to you.
Clyburn, Darryl Jackson, and Jeremy Johnson. That's my district.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Whoa, hold up a second. What about the palmetto dinner?
Yeah, the palmetto dinner.
When is that?
The same day.
Yeah.
That was
6
a
to
five.
8:15.
Oh yeah, because it is
Wait,
the
wait,
same.
Forgot that those
said-
were the same day. However, that is an event that costs money. The Clyburn Fish Fry is free, and we have been there in droves last year. So
Yeah.
And it's fun.
and it's fun, and you
It's
get
like $100.
fried fish. It's
For the
great.
palmetto dinner?
I thought it was like
I think so.
125 last year.
100 something.
Sorry, no. It's 150 with the youth discount. It's 125. I remember that.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's nice.
Yeah.
I mean,
Big
yeah, I'm
money.
going this year.
At that point, we're saving $25. If we go, I mean, it's worth it.
I would like to split the diff.
Does
So we're getting
anybody
$25
else?
off.
Full pause.
$125.
Does anybody else have any dates they would like to recommend that we put on our calendar so people can keep up?
We're already drowning
Any
in dates.
important?
Let's
Yes,
just.
Josie.
On
June 9th.
Monday, the Harriet Hancock Center is doing a virtual, kind of crash course to primaries. So if you
Excellent.
want to learn about what a primary
Okay.
is,
Excellent.
it's on Monday. I can find the time.
We will share that in our chat. New friends, if you are not in our chat, that's where we do a lot of our updating. So,
Usually just like
we will also attempt to repost and share all of that information on Facebook. Before, I'm going to let Zane talk about a resolution that he wanted to propose on Saturday, and we did not have time to get there. I do want to, real quick, can we approve the March minutes?
I want to make a motion to approve the March minutes.
Second.
Motion by Timothy, accepted by Jeremy. Thank you guys so much. Yes, Michael, real fast.
I would like to add a silly resolution after Zane's.
Okay, beautiful.
Also, wait. Austin Jackson did want everyone to know that May 1st is his store's full store inventory. So mark that on your calendar.
Works at Kroger in
that
case you're
Kroger
interested.
will be doing on May 1st inventory.
Okay,
So
Zane,
Product
can we put a
placement.
timer on for 2 minutes? I would like to not go longer than that if possible.
that's fine. Yeah,
Okay, excellent. Zane, please go ahead.
I got you.
Go.
Okay, I do have three relating to foreign policy that I would like us to at least take a symbolic stand on. First, we condemn the U.S. military actions in Iran. We do not know, as of now, the clear purpose of our campaign there. Our actions have led to unstable increases in gas prices, the deaths of service people, and the deaths of many civilians, including children. All right. Does anybody agree with this?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Pass. we condemn the war in Iran. All right, number 2, in accordance with pre-existing warrants of the International Criminal Court, we demand these people be brought to trial in The Hague for their actions in Ukraine. Maria Alexeyevna Lvova-Belova for kidnapping Ukrainian children. Sergei Ivanovich Kobylash for strikes on civilians and civilian objects. Sergei Kuzugetovich Shoigu for strikes against civilian objects. Viktor Nikolaevich Sokolov for the strikes on civilian objects. Valery Vasilyevich Gerasimov for the strikes on civilian objects. And Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin for coordinating the previously mentioned war crimes and his failure to respond to subordinates who committed them.
Can we table this to workshop to the language?
Yeah.
I think it would require some like debate that we don't.
All right,
have
no-
Yeah.
All right.
Table this one and then we'll workshop the language. Yeah.
Yeah, what's the next one?
All right, the next one, in accordance with warrants of the ICC, we demand these people be brought to trial in The Hague for their actions in Palestine.
Yeah.
Probably the same thing.
Can we table that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
Yoav Gallant for the starvation, murder, and persecution of civilian populations, and Benjamin Netanyahu
That's fine.
for starvation and persecution.
Okay, yeah, we'll table that one and circle back to
Tabling
it.
the second two and accepting the first one? That's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what our group do?
Thank you, Zane.
What is the problem with the?
I wanted to make a different resolution. Could we,
I'm gonna put another
automatic, yes, could we, okay.
You come- yeah.
This is about how Young Dems does business. Could we just automatically approve last meeting's minutes unless there is some reason why we shouldn't? Just like automatically, we don't need to vote on
I
it.
think we just have to say out loud approval of March minutes and then confirm it, and then we're done.
My resolution is we just accept that the last meeting's minutes were approved every single time, unless there is an issue, then we can discuss.
It's also kind of a Robert's Rules thing to approve last minutes. We can do it at the beginning, which would probably be a little bit easier to say, hey, minutes, okay, goodbye.
I'm asking to suspend that particular part of Robert's Rules indefinitely, unless there is a reason that we need to discuss last
I'm gonna
meeting's
be
minutes.
completely honest with you. I do not know if it exists in our bylaws that we must have this discussion in meetings, so let me check on that,
'Kay.
and then
Cool.
I don't have a problem with it.
That will be an
There's
option.
a single individual who might raise a problem with it that is not present. That's why I'm hesitant, but I agree, that's a much simpler issue.
And we can table this as well. I would just like to throw it out there.
No, I think that's a good.
And
Let's table that.
yeah, and decrease the formality, but this is just one example.
At least
But
it's
anyway,
interesting.
thank you for the platform. Yeah.
Hitting you, Jim. I'm sorry.
Okay, I think that about does it. Is there anything else that anybody would like to add?
Motion to adjourn.
We don't need a motion to adjourn.
We don't
crazy,
need a
but I
motion
still
to
did it.
adjourn. If you have not joined the Signal chat, please come see me or Wes or Josie.
We're all
Anybody in the
family.
Um,
Join.
and then if you would like to get added on the Google Calendar, please come talk to me and we will get you added on. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Are you